Right, here we are in and I'm going to say the world famous Holy Family Boxing Gym, so I think it is world famous, renowned throughout the world, with Gerry Storey and Paddy Barnes. Tell us a wee bit about the history of the club, Gerry, if you don't mind.
Well, the club would have started around about 1943, 44. It was in Chichester Park on the Antrim Road. There was a big, I think they called it the Bishop's House. And that's where they started, and that's where I started. I started with them 48, 47, 48. And then they moved from there to the new lodge down in the Patrickville Billiard Hall. And we had a room off that. And then from there we came to here, the Recce.
So this club, out of every club on the island of Ireland, has the most Olympians and most Olympic medalists, and I'm right in saying that?
Well, I would say you're not far off it when it comes to that, yeah. I think that would be the record, yeah.
So you've got 2 medals, haven't you?
Yeah.
Hughie Russell has a medal as well, but you had a few fighters went to Olympic Games.
Well, you had the like of Ram Burnett, Jerry Hamill, Q Russell, Paul Douglas, Sam, and yours truly, Paddy Barnes.
Yeah. And what about pro fighters, Gerry? You've had a few pro fighters, right? This is where I kind of
started
my pro journey as well.
Well, you were here, and well, the names just would slip me now, but you had Michael Ayres, he went on, he was world champion. You had Tyson Fury, he went on to be world champion. Ran Burnett, he went on, was another world champion. And we had the Hungarian kid. He was a world title. He won the world title, and and there was Tommy Waite,
even Tommy
and all
Waite,
the locals.
Tony Dodson, British champion.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
yeah. But anyway, no, and that's what helped me, Tyson. Whenever he was in Ireland, he trained in the Holy Family and he boxed for the Holy Family. His brother would have left him in charge, me in charge of him, many a time when he wasn't training for fights, he was here.
Yeah. He's done a few trips, American trips.
He was the American. They always successful. He went to America. Tyson, in my eyes, should have been at the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Let's remember, he boxed in Poland, and he boxed for Ireland in Poland against the #1 Polish fighter then, who was getting a presentation that night for being their star performer. To me, there was nobody else would box him. And Tyson was the same then as what he is now, very confident. Yeah. I can remember before that fight, I left, Christy Devlin was with me as a second coach where Ireland was concerned. And whenever I went out looking for Tyson, there was a crowd, Carl, honest to God, there was a crowd around him the way it would be now.
Yeah.
And there he was in the middle of them demonstrating what he was going to do. And remember, he was going in against the #1 Polish fighter that night.
Yeah.
Didn't take a fizz out of him.
Yeah.
So I knew then that this guy's he's going to be special, you know.
So this is where me and you first met, Paddy. Like we'd have been rivals before actually coming here and training together when we were the same weight. We had a few fights with each other, but then I went up and we kind of separated a wee bit, and that's when we became friends in this club.
Yeah, basically, that's why I started boxing this club. I trained at a different club, joined here. Whilst we were obviously fighting each other, and after a while, you had put on weight and moved up, and then ever since then, Billy McKee and Juicy Fowler put you over here, and we were training together and sparred together. I think, you know, in that kind of period when we were 16, that's when I actually started winning. So, you know, I think the spars we had, it kind of like was good for both of us, obviously.
Yeah.
And it kind of progresses on for our youth and our early senior careers where we're so successful.
So are you thanking me for?
Not really, like.
No.
No, I can't. I never give you credit. No, but honestly, if you want to put it away, if you think about it, then yeah. But we did help each other, especially in your early senior Irish career, you won the EU silver medal, and that's all like stands towards our breakthrough on the Irish team.
Well, that
we sparred.
We talked about this with Anto Kakachi only a while ago, but talking about success breeds success, and if there's people being successful and doing well, the other guys want to come through and follow, and And I had that. I remember coming here and being a kid and Tommy Waite taking me round and showing me the ropes, and you couldn't hit Tommy with a handful of rice. But I learned so much here from Gerry, you obviously, but then also from the other guys who were training alongside.
Yeah. No, but as you say, success breeds success. Basically, you had like just Tommy Waite, then you had ourselves, then authors. You remember that, who went on to be a unified champion of the world too. Like, so, you know, it's like a conveyor belt that goes through the club, and the conveyor belt that keeps doing well and well. And God knows there's a kid here called Bill Mulch, and a few others. I think they're the next kind of boxers coming through.
Talk to us a wee bit.
I can remember you, Carl, whenever you came in first to me. Yeah. You couldn't move around the ring. You couldn't move it, and you'd have been stumbling, but at the same time, you weren't used to, their balance wasn't there.
Aye. Feet used to always come together.
That's right, and we had to get you out of that habit, and that was what I remember. And you're concerned at the start, getting you to
like
use
Christy
the
Brown.
ring.
But you know what I like, that's because he just hammers forward. His caliber going forward is too strong for one. That's why you're small and slacking forward. They need to move a bit like.
Well, yeah, well, you were different when you had to get you moved and slipping and sliding.
But that's why it's different. I mean, I don't know.
Tell us about, and we could do a full documentary on the stories that you have, Gerry, and the people that you've met. But talk to us about the impact boxing has had in Northern Ireland, especially during the Trouble, and some of the things that you had done, like you had the parachute regiment here, fighting in the middle of the New Lodge. You were training the IRA and the Loyalist paramilitaries in the cages. Tell us about some of them stories.
Well, if you were going to maybe with the Loyalists, the paramilitaries, Gusty Spence, he had sent word out that would have go up and have a talk with them, have a meeting with them, that he would love if I would go into the cages and train
UVF?
The UVF, were any of the Loyalist prisoners there. So I agreed I would do it. But beforehand I had to go up more or less into, I got a call from Rumford Street, and that was the Loyalist Army Council. They were meeting there, and they invited me up to have a talk with me. And when I went up, they said then that they knew what I was doing. They knew I was travelling up and down through the Shankill, any club, anybody needed me up there. I was in there giving them a hand, and they wanted me to know then that they were 100% behind me.
So there was never any worry about anything
happening? I had no worry anyway. I didn't care. I always believed they always should be together and working together and everything together, including the sport. But I agreed that I would do that, so they sent for me to go up to have a meeting with them in Rumford Street. They said they'd send a taxi out for me if I would go in. And I said, I'll go up the way I always go, I'll dander up. So I dandered up into Rumford Street that night, and it was a full army council, their army council. And they said then they were 100% behind me. What I was doing, they knew what I was doing, they knew where I was going, they knew everything about me. And they said, I had only to agree to one item. And I said, well, what is it? And they wanted to know anybody that would annoy me or annoyed me when I was in Rumford Street or any of the clubs or anywhere on the Shankill.
Get sorted out?
They would have been severely dealt with.
Very good.
So I agreed, certainly agreed. And that was it. Well, then we had Ireland box, Italy, in Rumford Street.
In the Loyalist Club? My granddad tells me about that story.
Full-scale international Ireland, and people were worrying about that because it wasn't too long after the Le Mans bombing.
Right.
And they were concerned. And I had said to Felix Jones then was the president of Ireland, he wanted to cancel the show. He was nervous about it. He says, Gerry, I think it's too big a risk. And I said, no, it won't be a risk. There'll be no trouble. So he asked me then, would I get guaranteed? Yeah. And I said, certainly, I'll guarantee there'll be no trouble.
I don't think there's anyone else could have done that. They brought an Irish team with green vests, shamrocks on their vest, to box in the Loyalist Club in the height of the Troubles. And then to bring the parachute regiment here? Did you fight them here?
Fought them downstairs.
Downstairs, here. You whitewashed them as well?
They were whitewashed, but that's what they said, and they were kidding me on about that. They said I done what Rommel couldn't do. You know, we were having fun about that. But no, yeah, they were whitewashed that night, you know.
Yeah.
But no problem with that. But and I had no problem going into the cages in long case.
Yeah.
Because even when I went up to see John Rogers and Gusty Spence, there was no. They came out to the gate to meet me, but the governor was with me. But they wouldn't recognise the governor. They had to speak to me, and I had to told him what they were saying to me.
They wouldn't speak direct to the governor, so you're like a man in the middle.
I was repeating what they would say to me.
It's
and
like a Monty Python sketch, isn't it?
Yeah, they wouldn't do it. And then after that, the Ra, they sent for me to do what I was doing over there, and it was the same thing there.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a sling from the dock car, one of the big slings that you had, all the timber lifts and stuff like that. It was a heavy one, but it was for cars and stuff like that. But I used it for to put across from one part of the nesting hut to the other.
Yeah.
And I used that for them ducking and weaving.
Oh, you know, right, very good.
So I would have left that. I left that there then. Well, I knew that they give me all their guarantees that there would be nothing. They would never use that sling as a way out and things like that, because they just didn't believe it. But they made me a ring every week. Every week there was a ring made for me, made out of the sheets. So Gusty Spence would have said to me, he said, Gerry, our Sweeney is brilliant in here. He said, you see that ring? They'll find that. The ring was up like this one. And he says, they'll take it down, destroy it. He says, but you see when you come in here on Wednesday, there'll be another ring up there.
Yeah. Class.
And then when I went over to the Ra, it was the same on their side, you know.
Yeah.
Big Ned McGuire and them, and they were talking to me, and you know, it was so sad.
Was there nothing ever between when you were with the Loyalists or with the Ra? With the Ra never saying to you, what are you doing training them, and vice versa? You never got that?
Tell you better than that. You see the sling I'm talking to you about?
Yeah.
When the Sweeney is what they called them were looking to see what was there, the Loyalists would have threw that sling right over the cages to the Ra. They would have held on to it.
Yeah.
So when I went in, whenever it was finished for them, they would have threw it back. When there was a search on, they were threw the gear over. Yeah. And better than that, whenever I was training Gusty Spence and that squad, whenever I had their team there, they would have asked me, how's the boys getting on?
All right, yeah.
Right, how are the boys getting on? And I said, well, I have a problem, because it's getting the gear in. It's harder for them to get their stuff in than when it is for use.
Right.
Gusty Spence would have said to me, I'll tell you what, well, you take our stuff.
Oh, the shared equipment?
Sure, you bring our gear, you get our gear over there, as long as you have it back when you're coming on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was going, no problem.
Very good.
Class.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, but that's the truth.
If I was me and him sharing equipment, I'd have piddled in his gloves.
He just stole it for me.
For me, coming here, once you get into the club, it just felt like any other club. You know, there was no talk of Protestant or Catholic or anything like that. It was just everybody were boxers and training towards the same goal. So I always felt comfortable. Never once in my life did I feel uncomfortable in this place. And there's not too many places that you could say that about, but I always just felt really comfortable in here.
You kind of talk of of political stuff and religious stuff. Even football talks were kind of
banned. Wasn't allowed.
It wasn't allowed in the gym, definitely. Everyone was left outside the door.
That was one of the rules. Even swearing was said no, not with the kids. Because you never knew what families were here, not Republican or Loyalist or anything like that. But you didn't want the kids coming out of here, effing and blanking all over the place. Their parents would have been saying, where are you learning that, you know? So we just had a rule, but why I'm saying that was never objected to. You know, you could have had the biggest swearers in the country in here and never opened their mouth. Yeah. Never had a Chaplain once, you know. And that's come back to John Sweeney and what I said, 1949. Yeah. They always said that, brother.
And what about the fight this weekend, Paddy? Tough fight, but how do you see it going?
It's a very, very tough fight. Obviously, you know, people who say boxing won't really know who this guy is, but for the hardcores will, because he beat Josh Warrington. And to beat Josh Warrington, you need to be really seriously fit and Leeds, seriously fit, seriously confident. Remember the fight was not announced. It was talking about, said this guy doesn't fight like a Mexican. If you actually look at the amateurs, he fights like an Italian. Actually, Mick got an Italian sparring partner for him. But it's a 50-50 fight. Mick Conlan is definitely one of the most skillful players I've ever trained with. I think he can cancel anyone out. So I'm just hoping that he can and will stick his boxing and just get a points victory.
And Gerry, so that's Paddy's verdict on the fight, but how important is it for Mick to keep winning, just to continue? We've missed the big time boxing in Belfast for a while, haven't we? And it's important for the undercard guys as well.
Well, it's great to see them coming back, and it's great to see the undercard fighters coming up, and there's a few of them there that you can keep your eye on, and it's a big opportunity, but it's another fight for Mick, and it's one that he can win, and he will. I've confidence in him on that, because he has that will to go ahead.
But you say, obviously, if Mick wins and keeps winning, like, it does help other fighters from Belfast and the rest of Ireland, like, kind of get a platform to kind of show their skills and try and make a name for themselves.
It's so important. I think it's something that people overlook. But I had it with Paul McCluskey, fighting on Paul McCluskey undercards, and then I done well and was topping bills, and these guys had it, coming through on my undercard. So it's always important, I think, to have someone who wants to stay and fight at home and bring these big nights. Just for everyone else gets a payday out of it. You know what I mean? That's important.
Well, it's a different sense of being a hungry fighter. He wants that title. He wants it, and that's, as you know yourself, that's half the bargain. That's half the battle there. He beginning to win.
Gerry, we could talk to you all day. Paddy, not so much. But I've enjoyed the company, boys, and I've enjoyed the chat. And thanks for letting us in the gym.